I like that. That was cool. That was cool. Alright. That was cool. And this is cool, seeing the PS5 logo in my sunglasses. Any PS fans here hype? Yeah! Me! Me! Me. We're going live in 38 minutes? Alright. Cool. We got some time. I want to hear predictions. Are we going to get 8K 30? Are consoles even at 8K yet? What are we getting? What is this going to be all about? Are we just going to get a logo, like, reveal, like we did last time? How y'all doing out there? Y'all hear me okay? Backwards compatibility? Yes. Yes to that. 100%. 100%. Yeah, we should play something while we're waiting on PlayStation. Let's see, and I go this, change, there we go. Wow, everything's working like it should. It's like I actually got up early and set shit up. It's like I actually got shit set up. I like refuse to believe that Mark Cerny is gonna have a normal haircut and he's gonna have some kind of weird haircut that makes him look like an evil, you know, evil villain in a cartoon. Let's Let's see, what do I want to listen to? Advent Children, you know what I mean? We don't need to watch that. There we go. What's going on, boss? There we go. Now I'm feeling like I'm more in the spirit. I'm more in the ready here. I want full backwards compatibility. I want a more comfortable controller that I can use. I want like an option if you have gigantic hands that you're able to use a different controller, like you're able to use an Xbox controller with your PlayStation. Hey, what's up, Aaron? Yeah, man, staying well. Just chilling out before it starts. I just wanted to like play this again. I don't know. I was thinking about doing it last night, but I got busy. So now I just want to play it. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. Yep. There we go. Give us full backwards compatibility. Give us an SSD hard drive. Give us at least 1 terabyte. I feel like you're gonna, you know, PlayStation, they should go like above and beyond. They should just do a 2 terabyte model, because that 1 terabyte gets filled up so quickly. But it has to be solid state. It can't be like, you know, a standard, you know, spinning, you know, magnetic disk hard drive. Can't be that. Yeah, let's end this guy. Done. Was he dead yet? There we go, now he's dead. Yes, backwards compatibility. Full backwards compatibility. I wanted the ability to be able to pop a PlayStation 1 game, 2, 3, or 4 into the 5, and I want to be able to play it. I want it to emulate just as good as the PlayStation 3. There's no reason that can't happen. Like, there's none. There's none. The fact that the PlayStation 4, they're selling shit, like, on the Sony, like the PSN website for classic PlayStation 1 games, you can only play it on your PlayStation 3 or Vita. This doesn't make any sense, man. I also just straight up want good games. Give us the good games. Give us games that is going to get us excited to buy that console. Or give us games that's going to be compatible. Hey, what's up, Kuro? Sounds good, my dude. Hey man, I think you're a true believer, but you know what I think? Not interested. I know, right? It's gonna be happening soon. At 12. Which is in 32 minutes. You better be worth the money, Mark. Every last gear. Check out the arm vein on Barrett. Jesus. Oh yeah, that those of you who are interested, I am playing this on my OG base model PlayStation 4. Other than like the hair with like the dithering on like the hair, I've seen like pro versions, like, you know, of this being rendered like in person. It looks pretty much identical. The music, good ass shit, right? Yeah, I'll play this one. Now, where is actually my... Where's version 2 of this? There we go. Almost time, almost time. Oh shit, guard dog attack. I know, I guess I could play this game without the music soundtrack on. I can just have the sound effects. That'd be actually kind of cool. Getting, I don't even like know what I'm doing right now. I'm not even like really that focused. I'm just thinking about the PlayStation 5 and you know what? PlayStation 5, they just got to do a couple things in order for them to win. They literally, all they have to do is they have to price it under $600. So it's gotta be like $499. And they just gotta show us a few games. They show us, like, you know, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, you know, they show us, you know, what Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to look like on the PlayStation 5. They show what, like, a new Spider-Man game looks like from Insomniac. Are we going to see the Rocksteady game? Or is this going to be the announcement today of Sony acquiring Konami to do the Silent Hills and Metal Gear reboots with Kojima? Like, if they just lead with a couple of nuggets, games wise, they're just gonna, everyone, Xbox, I'm sorry, that Series X, if they don't have the games, no one's gonna play it. You know, your console is only as good as your games. Final Fantasy 16, oh man. Do you really think that Square would be leading with that though? I wondered that too, Troy. My biggest hang up on that though is that they're all gung-ho. Now the Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind is done. They're all 100% on the remake, and they're going to be focusing on that. You know, did they have another team working on 16? Oh, definitely. But I think they would want to lead with remake first and foremost. I feel like if anything, 16 is going to be like a year 2 thing for PlayStation 5, because at that point, hopefully by year 2, you know, they have some quality titles already out, including Part 2 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's right, I can target guys. I'm like totally like missing everything with this dude. Doesn't even matter though. Yep. Do it! You missed. Give us, you know what I say? I say give us backwards compatibility. Lead with that. Lead with, you know, teraflops I don't really look into too much because, you know, after a certain point, everything kind of looks really good. I'd say if you're over 10 teraflops, you're pretty much, you're looking at, you know, high quality graphics. His leg is shaking there. Oh, now he's gone. Dog was about to take a piss on my Buster Sword. Oh wait, I don't even have my soldier outfit on. There we go. I got you. I got you, comrades. Don't worry. Hope everyone's staying safe and has stocked up and is quarantining and is not going out. Done. I just obliterated that security guard. He probably had like 9 kids. Just gone. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I know I'm working on a lot of different music stuff right now, but I'm like kind of like also trying to prep for the remake streams, you know, when it comes out on April 10th. So I'm kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. I don't know whether or not I should focus on music or if I should focus on creating assets for content, like this outfit, for example. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Full version of that Turk-style battle theme. You know, honestly, I'm trying to actually get some people that they DM'd me after they heard it, and they were like, it sounds really good. They were like, can I like add my own instrumentation to it? And so I said, yeah, sure, send it to me whenever. So I'm kind of just like waiting in the wings, I guess. I'm waiting to hear back from a few people so I could, you know, incorporate their, you know, their instrumentation on top of it. Like a bass player, I want to put in there as well. So it's a work in progress.
So how do we get to the bridge of Baco's storage? Ain't hold out on me, are you? Stamp scared to bite the hand that fed him? Or is he a loyal little doggy?
Yeah. Yeah. Damn, I'm good. Yep.
Door! Wait! It's over!
That's my line. Damn it! These guys are just standing there like a bunch of idiots. You. Just rolling all over the floor. Oh, there they are. Easy. Nanaki, I'm so hyped. So excited. Between this, Resident Evil, the Resident Evil 3 demo, like is online. If you're in New Zealand right now, you can go download the Resident Evil 3 demo on Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4. I tried to boot it up here in America. Did not take as of 20 minutes ago. So many fun things. Resident Evil Resistance, Doom this Friday, Animal Crossing, which I'm more, you guys know me, I'm more excited for Doom, more excited for this game, Resident Evil. My head's gonna explode from all this video gaming. And also, like, I'm like, you know, I'm like getting in try-hard mode on like Warzone last night, and, you know, and Call of Duty and stuff. But man, I'm all over the place. It's a good time to be the video gaming vampire. Let's just put it that way. How are you doing, Nanaki?
Security's only gonna get tighter, so be ready. We can't afford any mistakes.
You're one to talk, bro. You're the one leaving your daughter in charge of the fucking bar in the slums. We don't need any more mistakes. Oh, like having a child serve drunks alcohol? Yeah, sure. All right, Barrett. Okay. None of your business, but are you guys close? I don't know, Jesse. Are you guys close? Man, it's gonna be good. It's just like there's like just a couple of like little things I'm just worried about with the PlayStation 5. Like if what I'm hearing is true, is Xbox Series X is gonna be like, you know, $599, $600, $699 machine. If PlayStation 5 can come in at $100 cheaper than that, then they're gonna win. Everyone knows that that's one of the big keys to success for them. That and the games. I think the hard drive space is gonna be another one. But I don't know what else to say. It's gonna be nuts. Rest assured, our inquiries will not take much longer. Yeah. This pump's sole purpose is to drain the planet dry. While you sleep, while you eat, while you shit, it's here sucking up Mako. Doesn't rest, and it doesn't care. Just like the coronavirus. When they do the up close detailing, and this is this is rendered right now in game. This isn't CGI. When they're doing this, and it's on my OG PlayStation, I'm just still I'm amazed by that. I'm absolutely amazed. We need a better Dissidia game. The true design was linked, was it? Yeah, I think Square, they really fucked up Dissidia. I think they should have just made it a campaign mode, you know what I mean? I don't know why. I don't know why they did what they did with that game. They had such opportunities. Let me just make sure that we're still in launch mode, wait mode. We got 18 minutes left to go. Okay, here we go. We get Barrett Wallace in the party. I'm shooting at the wall. What am I even looking at? Hey, Cloud. Jesus, man, you're just dying over here, aren't you? We'll go to Bear and we'll have him use an item on Cloud. I still can't believe it though. We hope Square will do better things with this remake. Yeah, man. Dude, if they include what if they included a multiplayer with this, a multiplayer mode for the Golden Saucer? What if they did a multiplayer mode where it was SSX tricky and you could do 4-player co-op, all y'all going down the mountain? With the remake, all the different remake characters. You get Barrett on a snowboard or skis, and Tifa and Aerith and Cloud, and you get you can get anyone out there. How hilarious would that be? You get the snowboard minigame, you can compete with people with the chocobo racing. Oh my god, I would be over the moon happy if they did something like that. If they did something little just to incorporate multiplayer, I would be yep, this is gonna win Game of the Year. No question. Look at I can't. It's I don't even know what I'm doing. All I'm just doing is I'm literally thinking oh man, I have so many PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games that I want to play the best way possible. And if it means that I'm going to be able to do it on the PlayStation 5, then that's very appealing to me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and Kayaga, the way that I see it is that PlayStation, they hold all the cards right now, right? Other than Nintendo and the fact that the Switch is a very, cost-effective alternative to being able to play most modern games. It's a little bit disturbing in the fact that PlayStation really, they, depending on the games, they really have the chance now to fully capitalize. You know what I mean? And not only that, but with Square, they've taken the time to actually like build this game out in Unreal 4. All right, you have this game now available in Unreal Engine 4. So why don't you just take this engine now with all these assets and start remaking other old Final Fantasies? Like, actually, I know they just did the remastered of 8. But what if you did a remake with this engine? How nuts would that be? People would be gaga over that shit. Even more so, I feel like, than Final Fantasy 7 because it's taken so long. But if they just came out of the blue and they were like, yeah, guys, you guys remember 6 and 8? Well, we're going to use the remake engine and the assets to essentially recreate those worlds as well as we did as the remake. And, you know, we're looking at like 2030 games that are coming out in 2030. I would be just, man, they should, you know, Square, they should look at Capcom, for as many faults as Capcom has had over the years. Look at it this way. They took that Resident Evil 2 engine for the remake, and look what they did. They just popped out Resident Evil 3. Do the same thing with Final Fantasy. Go back and remake those games that use the, you know, the low poly models, and just do them all. Redo them all. Make it so the, you know, newer audiences can, you know, experience this game in a fresh new way that's not stale or repetitive or unoriginal. As long as they drop the effing draw, yeah. You okay? No. Right? Like, wouldn't you just be like, oh man. I also feel like there's going to be news today about like the integration of PlayStation 5 with PC users. I feel like they're going to try to be pushing something that will like kind of combat xCloud, which is an Xbox streaming service. I feel like Sony is going to be there with something. You know, everyone's doing the whole streaming service thing now. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good, guys. I was all hopped up on coffee this morning, and then I finally ate breakfast just like 15 minutes ago, and I've calmed down significantly. Did they mention retro compatibility? They better. Also, legitimately, if it's all backwards compatible, put every single like best-selling or you know or hit classic PlayStation 1 game up on the store. You know what I mean? Oh, that's right. I need to use Lightning. We use Fire, but we'll try to use Baird as well. Give me some Thunder. Kingdom Hearts 4 in 2030. Yeah, that would be. I honestly wouldn't surprise me. Square is. I think people forget how large of a company that Square is. They're very, very, very big, so they can swing doing part 2 of the remake and a game like Kingdom Hearts 4. However, I feel like if anything, the next couple of titles that they're going to be focusing on are probably Final Fantasy 14 Online, Remake Part 2, and Final Fantasy 16. I feel like those are their big 3 for their teams going into this year. But from what it sounds like, they've been working on Part 2 for a while, so I think people are going to be surprised when Part 2 gets announced at the end of 2020, early 2021. I think people are going to be quite shocked. Got him. Got him. All right. All right, we get 11 minutes. Once it gets to 10 minutes, I'll switch back over. We'll stop playing this. The hell are you talking about? I meant your age, not your damn rank, dummy. I thought, though, for all I know, a soldier's rank could be the same as his age. Guess that make you a 1-year-old, huh? Live and learn! If only he knew. If only he fucking knew. Hey, what's up? What's up, youngin'? Yeah, youngin', weren't you first today? Youngin' was first. They going to announce games this time? Yeah, I think so. I think there's gonna be a lot of. You know, speculation of games. I think there's gonna be teases. All right. I like whatever this is. All right. I think we're ready. It's almost time. Yeah, did you enjoy it? Did you guys enjoy the demo? You guys know. You guys know me. I was over the moon. I got to play it at PAX East a couple of days before it came out, and it was the one I got to play at PAX East was just the boss fight, but it was still phenomenal. Great experience. Great experience. Let's see. Do I have... Okay. Still got a few more minutes left. I'm gonna try to go stretch my legs out here in this alleyway. All right. Here, follow me.
Mako Energy? Someone better get the power company on this shit. I'm no electrician, but that doesn't seem right. It seems like there's something kind of seeping out there. This doesn't seem right to me. Alright? The Scorpion battle was a pain in the ass. Big facts. Alright? Big facts. Now, people are probably ignoring me because, social distancing. It's fine. It's fine. We can take that route. It's fine. It's all good. It's fine. We're good here. All right. Well, we're just a few minutes away, so I should get back to my desk. Over this way.
All right. I think my transition was a little screwy there. Don't pay any attention to that. We're still working out the kinks. Thank you, Nanaki. Thank you. We got some other scenes planned too as well. We got scenes where Aerith is literally running away from me and shit. It's gonna be great. When the remake streams start, you're just gonna want to tune in here, not only for the giveaways, multiple giveaways of the game digitally, but also for the laughs as well. Because you know, we put on a goddamn show. All right. We put on a goddamn show. All right. But speaking of putting on a show, I'm gonna go take a whiz because this shit's starting in 5 minutes. All right. You guys be good. I'll be right back.
Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Remake de Final Fantasy VII.
Just bear with him for me, would you?
Should have asked for more money.
In 1972, a crack commando unit was sent to prison by a military court for a crime they didn't commit. These men promptly escaped from a maximum security stockade to the Los Angeles underground.
LOL.
Today,
NW
still
Savage.
wanted by the government, they
Little do you
survived
know,
as
I was
soldiers
actually
of
a mod
fortune.
for Dr.
If you have a
Disrespect.
problem, if no
And
one
I've
else
done
can
on
help,
a lot of
and if
his
you can
original
find them, maybe you
overlays
can
for his
hire
Twitch stream.
the A-Team.
So no, unfortunately it's embarrassing for you. Plus anyone who calls himself a savage is really pussy. FYI.
Just bear with him for me, would you?
Should have asked for more money.
Wedgie!
Don't worry. Back just in time. What's up, Ghost Tom? Welcome. 60 seconds. Damn, this song just literally came up. I did not pick it. Grandpa, you ready for this shit? I don't think he is.
Fuck you!
Don't need to be salty, Grandpa, even though you're an Xbox fan. I get it. You know, it's a console for boomers. Alright, is this shit beginning or what? Is it starting or what? Monster Hunter now free on PS Plus? Damn. I already have that on PC, but what the hell's going on? It's been good, man. I had my birthday on Monday, so I was really happy about that. Getting to spend some quality time with the missus. Oh shit. Plus this is happening, so I'm real hyped. I don't like premieres. Also, if you're a content creator, don't do premieres. This is like literally the most bogus shit. I hate this. I hate this feature as a content creator. I think it sucks. The whole principle behind it blows. It's like artificial hype for nothing. Everyone is already excited, but see, don't make me wait 2 minutes. Anyways, thank you. I appreciate it. This should be badass. I'm excited. Me too, man. Hey, thank you very much, Youngin. I appreciate that. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Jesus, that's loud. I can't wait to see Mark Cerny's horrible haircut. What the hell is this shit? Why do they do this? Yeah, you're right. It's probably for money. It's a bunch of bullshit is what it is. They just took my heart on and they just went... Hey, what's up, Keith? Generic ass countdown, no shit. Thank you, Xavier. Someone gave dislike? Yeah, it's probably that savage pussy.
Hi. Unfortunately, we had to cancel the talk that we had planned for GDC. But we do have some super exciting news about PS5. And who better to bring that to you than the one and only Mark Cerny. Without further ado, over to you, Mark.
Thank you, Jim. There will be lots of chances later on this year to look at the PlayStation 5 games. Today, I want to talk a bit about our goals for the PlayStation 5 hardware and how they influenced the development of the console. I think you all know I'm a big believer in console generations. Once every 5 or 6 or 7 years, a console arrives with substantially new capabilities. There's a lot of learning by the game developers, hopefully not too overwhelming.
Yeah, a lot of learning with that
PS3
model, boys.
Before. Now, it used to be that as a console
no one could
designer,
figure out how to
somehow
fucking develop for it.
What would be the best set of capabilities for the new console, and then build it in complete secrecy. For the PlayStation consoles, that period lasted through PlayStation 3, a powerful and groundbreaking console, but also one that caused quite a lot of heartache, as it was initially difficult to develop games for.
Yeah, this looks like shit.
So, starting with PlayStation 4, we've taken a different approach, roughly centered around 3 principles. The first of these is listening to the developers,
his haircuts.
Which is to say that
go look up his haircuts throughout the year. They're horrible.
Console derives directly from the needs.
I know, he looks like the bad guy scientist.
We definitely do have some ideas of our own, but
that will
at
destroy
the core
all
of our
of
philosophy
humanity.
for designing consoles is that
What
game
will I name
players
it?
are here
After
for
my
the
favorite
fantastic
beer,
games.
Corona.
Which is to say that game creators matter. Anything we can do to make life easier for the game creators or help them realize their dreams.
Looks like Austin
we
Powers
will
from
do.
Silicon Valley.
So, about once every 2 years, I take a tour of the industry. I go to the various developers and publishers, sit down, and discuss how they're doing with the current consoles and what they'd like to see in future consoles. This requires weeks on the road, as reaching the bulk of the game creators involves talking to well over 100 people at something like 24 publishers and developers. And it is incredibly valuable. By the way, the feature most requested by the developers, that was an SSD.
What's up, Fasty?
Which we were very happy to put in the hardware, but a lot of problem solving was required. I'll be doing a deep dive on the SSD
like, yes,
and surrounding
I'd like to
systems
eat the flesh
later
off
on
of your
in this
body.
talk. It's also key to make
also
a
weird how, like,
generational
the
leap while
guys
keeping the
are not,
console
like, moving that
sufficiently
much.
familiar to
The
game
audience is, like,
developers.
one guy
I think
moving.
about this in terms of balancing evolution and revolution. Now, with PlayStation 1, 2, and 3, the target was a revolution each time with a brand new feature set. That was great in many ways, but time for the developers to get up and running got longer with each console. In the past, I've called this time to triangle. Here's what I had for
What the
those
hell is
three
this guy
consoles.
talking about?
To be clear, I'm not talking about time to make a game. Developers will be ambitious, and it may take them 6 years or so to realize their vision. What I'm talking
I feel like I'm
about
talking
is
to
that
like
dead time
you know,
before
a nut
graphics
job
and other aspects of game
screaming
development are up
nonsense
and running,
like the
and
world is
trying
ending in
to
like
minimize
Times Square, like in New York City.
On the other hand, if we're trying
Just
to
get those
reduce that dead
big
time to
motherfucking
zero,
posters
that
all over
means
them.
the hardware architecture can't
The end
change
is
at all.
near.
We're handcuffed. We need to judge for each
Scuffed
feature
Dana
what
Carvey.
value it adds and whether it's worth the increase in developer time needed to support it. So with PlayStation 4, we were able to strike a pretty good balance between performance and familiarity. We got required learning back to PlayStation 1 levels.
That's my model of
With
PlayStation.
PS5, the GPU was definitely the area we felt the most tension.
He's trying to
between
create a
adding new
narrative. He's
features
trying to connect
and
the
keeping
technology
a
because he's
familiar
super tech guy
programming model.
into like a narrative.
Ultimately,
so.
I think we've ended up with something
Oh,
under a month
it's going to look
of
like a
getting up to
logo.
speed.
Nice.
That feels like we're striking about the right balance. I'll go into a bit more detail later today about our philosophy with the GPU and the specific feature set that resulted from it. It's also very important for us, as the hardware team, to find new dreams, by which I mean something other than CPU performance, GPU performance,
a
and
dream
the amount
sequel.
of RAM. The increase in graphics performance
hell
over
is
the
this?
past 2 decades has been astonishing, but there are other areas in which we can innovate and provide significant value to the game creators, and through them, the players. That's why the SSD was very much on our list of directions to explore,
Yeah, right.
regardless of what came out of the conversations with game developers and publishers. The biggest
Damn,
feature
Xavier.
in this category is the custom engine for audio. That's today's
You're the real
final
fan, man.
topic. The push for vastly improved audio.
Ah, yes,
And in
a
particular,
very
3D audio
vague-looking
isn't something
After
that came out of
Effects
the developer meetings. It's
chart of a
much more
line
the
graph.
case that we had a
Like, what the
dream
hell is
of what
this?
might
Give us real
possible
information.
5 years from now, and then worked out a number of
Stop
steps we could
stewing us
take
around,
to set us
Cerny.
on that path. So here again are the 3 principles. The first being enabling the desires of developers to drive the hardware design. To me, the
It's gonna be
SSD
60
really
minutes
is the
long,
key to
so
the next generation.
be prepared
It's
for a lot of
game
information.
changer. And it was the #1 ask from developers for PlayStation 5. As in, we know it's probably impossible, but can you put an SSD in it?
Yes.
That was a discussion we were also having internally. It was clear that the presence of a hard drive in every PlayStation 4 was having a positive impact. A lot of things that would simply have been impossible at Blu-ray disc speeds were now possible. At the same time, though, in 2015 and 2016, when we were having these conversations,
Yes, you
developers were already banging up against the limits of the hard drive. And a lot of developer
Yet you
time was
shipped
being spent
it with a
designing
500
around
gigabyte
slow
hard
load
drive, which
speeds.
I, to this day, will never understand.
I want to
And that hard
focus
drive
in
was
on
garbage,
just
by the
one
way.
number here, which is how long it takes to load a gigabyte of data from a hard drive. The difficulty being that hard drives are neither particularly fast nor flexible. If all your data is in one block, which is frankly not very likely, you can load 50 to 100 megabytes a second, depending on where the data is located on
This
the hard
is
drive.
just,
Let's
I don't
assume
even
it's on the
understand what the hell
average,
this
which
is.
means loading a gigabyte takes 10 seconds. If you
What is
compress
this?
your game packages, you can fit more data on the Blu-ray disc and also effectively boost your hard drive read speed by the compression ratio. We support zlib decompression on PlayStation 4 that gets you
Exactly.
something like 50%
Give us 2
more data on the
terabyte.
disc and 50% higher effective read speed. Unfortunately, though, it's highly likely that your data is scattered around in various files on the hard drive, as well as sourced from multiple locations within those files.
They're gonna go with an
lots of
SSD. They
seats
have
are
to.
needed at 2 to 50
They have to.
milliseconds each.
They're so inexpensive
My rule
now.
of thumb is that the hard drive is spending 2/3 of its time seeking, and only 1/3
I
of
don't
its
know,
time
Aaron.
actually loading data.
Tech
Putting all of
experts.
that together, a gigabyte is very roughly 20 seconds to load from a hard drive. Now, a gigabyte is not much data. Games are using 5 or 6 gigabytes of RAM on PlayStation 4, so boot times and load times can get pretty
Go,
big.
baby,
Or to
very
put that
go.
differently, as a player, you wait
Should
for
have
the
queued
game
up
to
some Austin
boot,
Powers shit.
wait for the game to load, wait for the level to reload every time you die, and you wait for what is euphemistically called fast travel.
He looks like
All of that leads to the dream. What
looks
if we
like
could have
Silicon
not just
Valley
an
Woody.
SSD, but a blindingly
Oh.
fast SSD? If we could load 5 gigabytes a second from it, what would change? Now, SSDs are completely different from hard drives. They don't have seeks as such. If you have a 5 gigabyte a second SSD, you can read data from 1,000 different locations in that second, pretty much at speed.
That's what I was
As
thinking.
for
Kayanga.
time to load a gigabyte, this is next gen we're talking about. So
No
memory
shit.
is bigger. Instead, we should be asking how long to load 2 gigabytes.
So-
And the answer is about a quarter of a second. I mean, that's amazing. We're talking 2 orders of magnitude, meaning very roughly
So they're not are they
100 times.
Are we actually going to get technical specs, or are we going to get
Which
like,
means that 5
theoretical
gigabytes a
specs?
second for the SSD, the potential is that the
Stop
game
with
boots in
the
a second.
stupid After
There
Effects
are no load
nonsense.
times. The game just fades down while loading.
Just cut it
7
out.
gigabytes and fades back up again. Same for a reload. You're immediately back in the
Unless
action
that's like
after you
the
die.
the
And
loading screen
fast
for the
travel
PS5.
becomes so fast it's blink and you miss it. As game creators, we go from trying to distract the player from how long fast travel is taking, like those Spider-Man subway rides, to being so blindingly fast that we might even have to slow that transition down.
Yeah, for
Pretty
real.
cool, right?
My
But
SSD
for
on my
me,
OG
this is
PlayStation,
not
it loads
the
those
primary
subway
reason to
scenes
change
for
from a hard
Spider-Man like in a
drive to an
second.
SSD.
Even
The
though my
primary reason
PlayStation
for
can't
an
fully utilize
ultra-fast
the speeds of
SSD is that
SSD,
it gives
it
the
really
game
is a
designer freedom.
huge
Or to put
performance
that
boost.
differently, with a hard drive, the 20 seconds
Both,
that
yeah.
it takes to load a gigabyte can sabotage the game that the developer is trying to create.
Oh, he's talking
I
about
think
sabotage
almost all
now.
of us in the room have experienced this, maybe
Now we're talking.
in different ways. Say we're making an adventure game, and we have 2 rich environments where we each want
This
enough
bitch looks like
textures
it's an
and models
adventure
to
game on
fill
the
memory.
fucking
Which you
N64.
can do as long as you have a long staircase or elevator ride or a
What is this
windy
line
corridor
drawing
where
shit?
You can ditch the old assets.
What is this,
and
Star
then take
Wars, like
30
Rogue
seconds or
Runner,
so to
the
load
arcade
new
game?
assets.
Or
Having a
ColecoVision?
30-second elevator ride is a little extreme. More realistically, we'd probably chop the world into a number of
This guy's
smaller
talking about
pieces and then
chopping
do
the
some
world up
calculations
into little
with
bits.
sight lines and run speeds, like we did for Haven City when we were making Jack 2. The
Oh,
game is
shit, we're
20
getting a new
years old,
Jack.
but
No,
not
I don't know.
much has changed since then.
We're going to get a new
All
Jack
those
of Daxter, guys.
passages are there for a reason. There's a whole subset of level design dedicated to this sort of work, but still, it's a giant distraction for a team that just wants to make their game. So when I talked about the dream of an SSD, part of the reason for that 5 gigabyte a second
The hell
was
is
to
this?
eliminate loads, but also part of the reason for that
Okay,
target
streaming on the hard drive. Yeah.
as in, what if the SSD is so fast that as the player is turning around, it's possible to load textures for everything behind the player in that split second? If you figure that it takes half a second to turn, that's 4 gigabytes of compressed data you can load. That sounds about right for next gen. Anyway, back to the hard drive. Another strategy for increasing effective read speed is to make big sequential chunks of data. For example, we might group all the data together for each city block. That removes most of the seeks, and the streaming gets faster. But there's a downside,
No,
too,
Star Fox.
which is that frequently used data is included in many chunks and therefore is on the hard drive many, many times. Marvel's Spider-Man uses this strategy, and though it works very well for increasing the streaming speed, there's a massive duplication as a result. Some of the objects like mailboxes or news racks are on the hard
we lost
drive
you, Fox.
400 times.
We've completely lost you.
What I'm describing here are things that cramp a creative director's style. Either level design gets a little bit boring in places, or the data is duplicated so many times that it no longer fits on the Blu-ray disc. And you end up with hard limits on the player's run speed or driving speed. The player can't go faster than the load speed from the hard drive. And finally, I'm sure many of you have noticed that after a patch download, the PlayStation 4 will sometimes take a long time to install the patch. That's because when just part of a file has been changed, the new data can be downloaded.
Why is he
pretty quickly.
overanalyzing and
But before the
over-explaining
game
things
boots
that
up,
we know?
A brand new file has to be constructed that includes the changed portion. Otherwise, every change would add a seek or
This is like basic hard
even
drive.
so, you can occasionally see
don't
this happening on
understand.
game titles. They start to hitch once they get patched enough. With an SSD, though, no seeks. So no need to make brand new files with the changes incorporated into
He
them,
looks tall on
which
stage,
means
but I bet in
no
real life he's
install,
like 3
as
feet
you know
tall,
from
this guy.
There's yet one more benefit, which is that system memory can be used much more efficiently. On PlayStation 4,
I know, for real.
game data on the hard drive feels very
No shit
distant
against Steve
and
Jobs, dude. It looks like
difficult to
Steve
use.
Jobs
By
is
the time
wearing, like, you know,
realize
a
you need
really
piece
bad
of
wig.
data, it's much too late to go out
Like a
and
bowl.
learn it.
Like, I'll take
So
the bowl
system memory
haircut
has
today.
To contain all of the data that could be used in the next 30 seconds or so of gameplay. That means a lot of the 8 gigabytes of system memory.
Yeah, see, Sony's theory is
idle.
that
It's just waiting there to be
everyone is going to forget about the Xbox Series X because everyone's going to fall asleep in the middle of this and then wake up, you know, in 2 years from now after the coronavirus is gone.
When you realize you need
It's all part of a
piece
big
data,
master
you can
scheme.
just load it from the SSD and use it. There's no need to have
He's
lots of
standing
data
on
parked
3
in system
boxes of
memory waiting to
Coca-Cola.
potentially be used. A
He's
different
getting a
way
little
of
lift
saying
there,
it
huh?
Is that most of RAM
He's putting
is
on his
working
Jordan
on the
pumps
game's
today.
behalf. This is one of the reasons that 16 gigabytes
I did
of
60
GDDR6
pumps today
feels
just to make
right
sure
for
I'd have that
PlayStation 5.
extra inch.
The presence of the SSD reduces
fucking
the
dead.
need for a massive intergenerational increase in size. So back to the dream of the SSD. Here's the set of targets. Boot the game in a second. No load screens. Design freedom, meaning no twisty passages.
We'll be the judge
or
of
long
that, Cerny.
corridors.
Also, the
More game
developers
on
of
the
these
disk
games are going to
and
be
more
like, well, there's
game
going to
on
be
the
load
SSD.
screens, Cerny.
And finally, those patch installs go away.
Well, I
The
don't think
reality,
that's
though, is
not
that
going
the
away either,
SSD
Bros.
is
Okay.
just one piece of the
Sorry,
puzzle.
it's just
There's
not.
a lot of places where bottlenecks can occur in between the SSD and the game code that uses the data. You can see this on PlayStation 4. If I use an SSD with 10 times the speed of a standard hard drive, I probably see only double the loading speed, if that. For PlayStation 5, our goal was not just that the SSD itself be 100 times faster. It was that game loads
Yeah,
and
like
streaming
PCs
would
have been
be
doing this for a
100 times
while.
faster. So
My
every
PC was
single
doing this kind of
potential
stuff like,
bottleneck
you know,
needed to be
4
addressed.
years ago when I
And
had
there
my
are a
solid
lot
state
of
drive.
them.
So it's not.
Let's look at check-in and what happens when its overhead gets 100 times larger.
If this was coming out like 5 years ago, I'd be like,
Conceptually,
ooh,
check-in is a
interesting.
pretty
Finally,
simple
Sony's going to get an
process. Data is
SSD.
loaded into
They're joining
system memory from
PCs,
the hard
which,
drive or
you know,
SSD. It's
I don't
examined.
know.
A few values are tweaked.
It's
to
going to be
check-in,
probably like
and
a
then it's
custom
moved to its
proprietary
final
solid
location.
state.
At the SSD speeds we're talking about, that last
It'll be
part,
like
moving
NVMe.
the data, meaning copying it from one location to another, takes roughly an entire next-gen CPU core. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, you'll still
If
get
all
load
the overheads
screens.
get 100 times larger, that will cripple the
Yeah,
frame
if I
rate
see a
as soon as
single
the frame
load
moves
screen, I'm
and
fucking
massive
throwing
stream
my
of data
shit
starts
on the
coming
floor.
off the SSD. So to solve all of that, we built a lot of custom hardware, namely a custom flash controller and a number of custom units in our main chip. The flash controller in the SSD was designed for smooth and bottleneck-free operation, but also with games in mind. For example, there are 6 levels of priority when reading from the SSD. Priority is very important. You can imagine the player heading into some
They better
new
not.
location
They
in the
better not
world
have a
and the
pro
game
model. They
requesting
better
a
just have
few
one model.
gigabytes of textures. And while
One
those
model.
textures are being loaded, an enemy is shot and has to speak a few dying words. Having multiple priority levels lets the audio for those dying words get loaded immediately.
Why are we talking about dying words?
On one side, that flash controller
Given the
connects
world's
to
circumstance,
actual
that
flash
may
drives
have
that
not been
supply
the best
storage.
choice of words
To
there,
reach
Cerny.
our bandwidth target of 5 gigabytes a second, we ended up with a 12-channel interface. 8 channels wouldn't be enough. The resulting bandwidth we've achieved is actually 5.5.
Like my brain is like
gigabytes second.
like
With
it's
a
like a computer,
12-channel
like about to
interface,
like
the most
explode.
natural size that emerges for an SSD is 825 gigabytes. The key question for us was, is that enough? I mean, it's tempting to add more, but Flash certainly doesn't come cheap, and we have a responsibility to our gaming audience to be cost-effective with regards to what we put in the console. Ultimately, we resolved this question by looking at the play patterns of a broad range of gamers. We examined the specific games
Why
that they were
did
playing
some
over the course of
who
a
at
weekend
Sony
or
was like,
weeks
yeah,
or
let's give the
months,
guy
and whether
that gives
set
a
of
real
games would fit
creepy, like the
properly on the
creepiest.
SSD. We were able to
Why didn't they get a
establish
more
that the
likable
friction
person out on
caused by
stage?
Reinstalls or re-downloads would be quite low.
I would have taken,
and so we
you
locked
know,
in on
snake
that
oil
825
salesman Phil
gigabyte
Spencer
size,
over
while
Mark
also
Cerny.
preparing multiple strategies so that
Why?
those who want more storage can add it. I'll go through the details in a moment.
No.
Back to the flash controller. On the other side, it connects to our main custom chip via 4 lanes of Gen 4 PCIe. And inside the main custom chip is a pretty hefty unit dedicated to I/O. Before we talk about what that does, let's talk compression for a moment.
No.
PlayStation 4 used zlib as its compression format. We decided to use it again on PlayStation 5, but
Creepy Dana
on my
Carvey.
2017 tour of
Silicon
developers, I
Valley
learned
Woody
about
the
a new
Cowboy.
format called Kraken from Rad Game Tools. It's like zlib's smarter cousin. Similar types of algorithms, but about
It's like Mark
10%
Zuckerberg's
better
dad.
compression, which is pretty big. That means 10% more game on the UHD Blu-ray disc or on the SSD. Kraken had only been out for a year.
Exactly,
but it was
Jose.
already becoming a de facto industry standard.
How about
Half
someone
of the
that's
teams
friendly
I
and
talked to
relatable
were
to a
either
wide
using
audience,
or getting
not
ready
just
to
some
evaluate.
nerd?
So we hustled and built a custom decompressor into the I/O unit, one capable of handling over 5 gigabytes of Kraken format input data a second. After decompression, that typically becomes 8 or 9 gigabytes.
This is a high
But the
school
unit
PowerPoint he
itself
dug
is
out.
capable of outputting as much as 22 gigabytes a second if the data happen to compress particularly well.
Who like wrote this
By the way, in
presentation?
terms of
Fucking
performance,
Bunsen
that
Honeydew
custom
from the
decompressor
Muppets?
equates to 9 of our Zen 2 cores. That's what it would take to decompress the Kraken
Jesus
3
Christ.
conventional CPU.
Oh,
There's a lot more in the custom I/O unit, including a dedicated DMA controller. The game can direct exactly where it wants to send the data coming off of the SSD.
so it's using a
This
Kraken
equates to
decompression,
another
so that's an
Zen 2
AMD.
core or two in terms of its copy performance. Its primary purpose is to remove check-in as a bottleneck. There's 2 dedicated
Oh yes,
I/O
Beaker, now we have
coprocessors
the
and a
2
large
I/O
memory pool.
core
These aren't
processors
Zen
on the
2 cores.
on-chip
They're there
RAM,
principally
yes.
to direct the
Like, oh,
variety of
fucking
custom
hell.
hardware around them. One of the coprocessors is dedicated to SSD I/O. This lets us bypass traditional file I/O and its bottlenecks when reading from the SSD. The other is responsible for memory mapping, which I know doesn't sound like anything related to the SSD.
If they just
but
came
a
out
lot
and they
of
just
developers
showed it,
map and
just to
remap
begin with,
memory as part of file
all of
I/O,
this would be
and this too can
completely acceptable from
There
a
are
presentation
coherency
perspective.
engines
If
to
they
assist the coprocessor.
draw you in immediately
Coherency
with
comes
something
up a
big,
lot in places. Probably
think that's
the biggest
awesome.
coherency
But
issue
man,
is stale
starting
data
with this
in the
shit,
GPU caches.
they better be ramping up to
Flushing
something
all of the
amazing.
GPU caches whenever the SSD is read is an unattractive option. It could really hurt the GPU performance. So
I'm
we've
about to
implemented a
decompress my
gentler way
anus
of doing things,
into this
where
guy's
the
face.
Coherency engines inform the GPU of the overwritten address range,
Ah.
and custom scrubbers in several dozen GPU caches do pinpoint evictions of just those address ranges. The best thing is, as a game developer, when you read from the SSD, you don't need to know any of this. You don't even need to know that your data is compressed. You just indicate what data you'd like to read from your original uncompressed file and where you'd like to put it, and the whole process happens invisibly to you and at very high speed. Back to the dream. Thanks to all of that surrounding hardware, our 5.5 gigabytes a second really should translate into something like 100 times faster I/O than PS4 and allow the dream of no load screens and super fast streaming to become
You don't need to know any of this. And he
Having
just
said that,
smiles. He's got a shit-eating grin on his face because he just knows all this shit is going over the heads of everyone except for the 4 people in the fucking audience.
Whatever we put in the console. Now, the kind of storage you need depends on how you're going to use it. If you have an extensive PlayStation 4 library and you'd like to take advantage of backwards compatibility to play those games on PlayStation 5, then a large external hard drive is ideal. You can leave your games on the hard drive and play them directly from there, thus saving the pricier SSD storage for your PlayStation 5 titles, or you can copy your active PlayStation 4 titles to the SSD.
Good.
If your purpose in adding more storage is to play PlayStation 5 titles, though, ideally you would add to your SSD storage.
Yes.
We will be supporting certain M2 SSDs.
Oh.
These are internal drives that you can get on the open market.
That's
and
right.
install in a bay in the PlayStation 5.
They're going to support
As for
NVMe.
which ones we support and
They're going to have
where, I'll
NVMe
get to that
as an
They
external
connect
hard
through
drive
the
source.
custom
Okay,
I/O
okay.
unit,
All
just
right,
like
here we
our
go.
SSD
Here we go.
does. So
Where's the
they can
price
take
for the
full
boards?
advantage of the
You can buy those right now
decompression
for anywhere
coprocessors
between
and
like
all
80
the other features I was
and like,
talking about.
$200 depending on what
Here's
kind
the
of space
catch,
you
though.
want for the
That
NVMe
commercial drive
SSDs.
has to be at least as fast as ours. Games that rely
Okay.
on the speed of our SSD need to work flawlessly with any M2 drive.
So they're going to have a lot of
When
restrictions.
I gave the Wired interview last
Okay.
year, I said that the PlayStation 5 SSD
It'll need to have
was
PCIe
faster than anything
3.0.
available on PC. At the time, commercial M2 drives used PCIe 3.0,
Yep.
and 4 lanes of that cap out at 3.5 gigabytes a second. In other words, no PCIe 3.0 drive can hit the required spec.
No shit.
M2 drives with PCIe
Holy
4.0
shit.
are now out in the market. We're getting our samples. and
So you're going to have to buy a
4 or
super
5
duper
gigabytes a
high
second.
end like PCIe
By year's end, I
4.0
expect that we'll
NVMe
drive
drive
to
to support this
saturate
shit.
4.0 and support
No
7
way,
gigabytes a
Sony.
second.
Why did you do
Having
that?
said that, we are comparing apples and oranges, though, because that commercial M2 drive will have its own architecture, its own flash controller, and so on. For example, the NVMe specification lays out a priority scheme for requests that the M2 drives can use. And that scheme is pretty nice, but it only has 2 true priority levels. Our drive supports 6. We can hook up a drive with only 2 priority levels, definitely, but our custom I/O unit has to arbitrate the extra priorities
What's up, Craig?
rather than the M2 drive's flash controller. And so the M2 drive needs a little extra speed to take care of issues arising from the different approach. That commercial drive also needs to physically
Money, that's
fit
why they did it,
inside
yes.
of the bay we
Well,
created in
it would have
PlayStation
made the
5
console
M2
cost more
drives.
if they put a drive like that
Unlike
in there.
internal hard drives, there's unfortunately no standard for the height of an M2 drive. And some M2 drives have giant heat sinks. In fact, some of them even have their own fans.
Well, not
Right
a
now,
not a
we're
lot
getting
of them,
M2
Mark.
drive
All right,
samples
let's
and benchmarking them
if we're really going to go to the technical route, let's
When
be
games
honest
hit
here.
beta
Not a
as
lot
they get
not a
ready
lot
for
of them do.
PlayStation
All right,
5 launch
you
at
fucking
year-end,
pencil
we'll
neck
also be doing
bitch.
some compatibility testing
already getting
to
kinda
make sure
sick of
that
Mark
the
Cerny.
architecture of particular M2 drives isn't too foreign for the games to handle. Once we've done that compatibility testing, we should be able to start letting you know which drives will physically fit and which drive samples have benchmarked appropriately high in our testing.
But they just said that
It
they're
would
not going to be
great
selling
if that happened by launch, but
those
it's
hard drives
likely
out
to
of the
be
market.
a bit past it. So
one that are
please
gonna be able
hold
to be
off
installed.
on getting that M2 drive until you hear from us.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not
back
even
to
ready
our
yet.
principles. Balancing evolution and
Oh, wow.
revolution is the second of them. This was definitely a recurring theme.
And also, we've heard nothing about backwards compatibility
We need new GPU features and capabilities. If we only have
prior
more
to
performance,
PlayStation
it's
4.
not
He
really
only
a new
went into
generation of
PlayStation
console.
4 working on
Of course,
the PS5.
many of these capabilities result in more performance. That's part of why a PlayStation 5 teraflop is more powerful than a PlayStation 4 teraflop. But we aren't just looking for the performance. We also need the ability to do something with the GPU that could not have been done before. And we need higher performance per watt. Every time we double the performance of some GPU component, we don't want to find out we've doubled the power consumed and the heat produced. But at the same time, we have to make sure the GPU can run PS4 games, and we have to ensure that the architecture is easy for the developers to adopt. Now, backwards compatibility was handled masterfully by AMD. They treated it as a key need throughout the design process. As our solution to adding new features without blindsiding developers, we made sure that if there
King
were
Cedar,
new
thanks for that sub.
significant features, it would be optional to use them. The GPU supports ray tracing, but you don't have to use ray tracing to make your game. The GPU supports primitive shaders, but you can release your first game on PlayStation 5
It
without
needs to be
making
more
any
than 1 terabyte.
Before I get into the capabilities of the GPU, I'd like
In
to
order
make
to
clear
have
two
a-
points that can be quite confusing.
Okay.
First, we have a custom AMD GPU based on their RDNA 2 technology. What does that mean? AMD is continuously improving and revising their tech. For
Okay.
RDNA 2, their goals were, roughly speaking, to reduce power consumption by re-architecting the GPU to put data close to where it's needed, to optimize the GPU for performance, and to add a new, more advanced feature set. But that feature set is malleable, which is to say that we have our own needs for PlayStation, and that can factor into what the
It
AMD
is.
roadmap
Oh my
becomes.
God, everyone is so
collaboration
pissed off
is born.
online.
If we bring
Absolutely,
concepts to AMD
Xavier.
that are felt to be widely
Or
useful,
1.5
then they can
even.
be adopted into RDNA 2 and used broadly, including in PC GPUs. If the ideas are sufficiently specific to what we're trying to accomplish, like the GPU cache scrubbers I was talking about, then they end up being just for us.
Exactly, Craig, and
If
that's
you
probably why
see
they
a
didn't do it. That's
similar
probably why
discrete GPU
they're not going to do
available
it.
as a PC card at roughly the same
Is 1
time as we
terabyte
release our
NVMe
console,
of what they're
that
talking
means our
about? Like if you bought a
collaboration
1
with AMD
terabyte right now,
succeeded.
I think I
In
spent last
producing
time I bought one was like
technology useful
130
in
and it
both
was on
worlds.
sale.
It doesn't mean that
So if
we
it's a
as
2
Sony
terabyte, it's
simply
going to be like
incorporated the
around
PC
200.
part
So
into our console. This continuous improvement in AMD technology means it's dangerous to rely on teraflops as an absolute indicator of performance. And CPU
oh my
count
God!
should be
So can
avoided
someone
as
just take a
well.
screenshot of the
In
words
case of
flop?
CPUs, we
The
all
words like,
understand this.
and
The
then put like a
PlayStation 4 and
PS5
PlayStation
and just say
each have
flop,
8
and then just
CPUs,
send
but
it to
we
me,
never think that meant the
like in a tweet or
capabilities
something
and
like that.
performance
Just
were
DM
equal.
it to me, and I just want to tweet
It's the
that
same
out
for
like right now.
CPUs. For one thing,
doing
they've been
it.
getting much larger over time. Adding new features means adding lots of transistors. In fact, the transistor count for a PlayStation 5 CU is 62% larger than the transistor count for a PlayStation 4 CU. Second, the PlayStation 5 GPU is backwards compatible with PlayStation 4. What does that mean? One way you can achieve backwards compatibility is to put the previous console's chipset in the new console, like we did with some PlayStation 3s. But that's, of course, extremely expensive. A better way is to incorporate any differences in the previous console's logic into the new console's custom chips.
Yes.
Meaning that even as the technology evolves, the logic and feature set that PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro titles rely on is still available in backwards compatibility mode.
But
one advantage of this strategy is that once backwards compatibility is in the console, it's in. It's not as if a cost down will remove backwards compatibility like it did on PlayStation 3. Achieving this unification of functionality took years of efforts by AMD, as any roadmap advancement creates a potential divergence in logic. Running PS4 and PS4 titles at boosted frequencies has also added complexity. The boost is truly massive this time around, and some game code...
Are we playing PlayStation 1 games or not, Mark?
Testing has to be done on a title-by-title basis.
I'm gonna wring your little neck!
Excellent, though. We recently took a look at the top 100 PlayStation 4 titles as ranked by playtime, and we're expecting almost all of them to be playable at launch on PlayStation 5. With regards to new features, as I said, our strategy was to try to break new ground, but at the same time not to require use of the new GPU capabilities. For more than a decade, GPUs have imposed a restriction on game engines. Software handles vertex processing, but for the most part, dedicated hardware is responsible for the triangles and other geometry that the vertices form. That means it's not possible to do even basic optimizations, such as aborting processing of a vertex if all geometry that uses it is off-screen. PlayStation 5 has a new unit called the Geometry Engine, which brings handling of triangles and other primitives under full programmatic control. As a game developer, you're free to ignore its existence and use the PlayStation 5 GPU as if it were no more capable than the PS4 GPU, or you can use this new intelligence in various ways.
I just tweeted it out.
Simple usage could be performance
Go on my Twitter right now and like that shit and retweet it. Just says this PlayStation 5 reveal is a flop.
More complex usage involves something called primitive shaders, which allow the game to synthesize geometry on the fly as it's being rendered.
I don't
it's a
know.
Brand new capability.
Aaron, he's really
Using primitive shaders on PlayStation 5.
I feel like all this information is being put in front of us to, like, you know, as a cloud to keep us like in the dark and in the shadows. I don't feel like there really has been that much said out of a couple of key bits of the technology, the actual hardware.
Another major new feature of our custom RDNA 2 based
all these
GPU
fucking console makers are, you know, sucking ray tracing dick. I don't understand that.
The CUs contain
I don't understand that.
Unit called the intersection engine, which can calculate the intersection of
ray tracing. I'm
boxes
convinced
and triangles.
is going to be
use the
like, you know,
intersection
3D
engine,
movies.
First, you build what is called an acceleration structure. It's data in RAM that contains all of your geometry. There's a specific set of formats you can use. They're variations on the same BVH concept. Then, in your shader program, you use a new instruction that asks the intersection engine to check a ray against the BVH. While the intersection engine is processing the requested ray triangle or ray box intersections, the shaders are free to do other work. Having said
I just
that,
don't understand because, like, so far the only thing that I've taken away from either Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5's reveal is that they can play PlayStation 4 games better. I don't care.
Engines will run just fine on PlayStation 5, but it presents an opportunity for those interested. I'm thinking it'll take less than 1 million rays a second to have a big impact on audio. That should be enough for audio occlusion and some reverb calculations. With a bit more of the GPU invested in ray tracing, it should be possible to do some very nice global illumination. Having said that, adding ray-traced shadows and reflections to a traditional graphics engine could easily...
If this is really a tech talk, then most of these guys know about ray tracing and what the advantages and effects are versus the disadvantages and why it's good and blah, blah, blah.
I'm starting to get quite bullish. I've already seen a PlayStation 5 title that's successfully using ray tracing-based reflections in complex animated scenes with only modest costs. Another set of issues for the GPU involved size and frequency. How big do we make the GPU, and what frequency do we run it at? This is a balancing act. The chip has a cost, and there's a cost for whatever we use to supply that chip with power.
So let's see what he's going to say now.
In general, I like running the GPU at higher frequency. Let me show you why. Here's 2 possible configurations for a GPU roughly of the level of the PlayStation 4 Pro. This is a thought experiment. Don't take these configurations too seriously.
Yeah,
If
just
you
like the rest of this
just
presentation.
calculate
Don't take it
teraflops,
too
you get the
seriously.
same number. But actually, the performance is noticeably different because teraflops is defined as the computational capability of the vector ALU. That's just one part of the GPU. There are a lot of other units. And those other units all run faster when the GPU frequency is higher.
Oh my God.
At 33% higher frequency, rasterization goes 33% faster. Processing the command
Thank you,
buffer
Craig Peters.
goes that much faster. The L2 and other caches have that much higher bandwidth, and so on. About the only downside is that system memory is 33% further away in terms of cycles.
This is just
But
like
the
I
large
did
number
not
of
imagine that
benefits
today was
more
going to
than
go like this with him.
counterbalance that.
In
As
this
a friend of mine
presentation.
says,
I
a
just don't
rising
understand.
tide lifts all boats.
I don't understand.
Also, it's easier to fully use 36 CUs in parallel than it is to fully use 48 CUs. When triangles are small, it's much harder to fill all those CUs with useful work. So there's a lot to be said for faster, assuming you can handle the resulting
And he
power
said
and heat
100
issues,
PlayStation
which,
4
frankly,
games. So
we haven't
only
always done
100.
the best job at. Part of
Only
the
100
reason for that
PlayStation
is,
4 games
historically,
so far
CPU
on
and
this
GPU
new console,
frequencies
as we
has
know,
relied on
is
heavy
backwards
guesswork
compatible.
with
Only
regards to
100.
how much
100
electric
games.
power games
Out of that
were
entire
produced, and how
library
much
of
heat
all the
could
other
be
backwards
produced as a
compatible, we got
result
100
inside
PlayStation
the
4
console.
games.
Power consumption varies a lot from game to game. When I play God of War on my PS4 Pro, I know
What
the power
the
is
hell?
high just by the fan noise. But power isn't simply about engine quality. It's about the minutia of what's being displayed and how. It's counterintuitive.
Yeah, Mark,
but
you want to talk
processing
about how every time I turn on my
typically
PlayStation
consumes
4
less power
base
than
model that
processing
all the
simple
lights
geometry,
in my
which is
studio flicker for like a
spec what
half a second
Horizon's map
when it
support,
turns on?
with its low triangle count, makes my PS4
I swear to
Pro
God, the
heat up so
OG
much.
base model PlayStation 4 is like a
Our process
nuclear.
on
That
previous
sucker's
consoles
fucking
has been to
atomic.
try to guess what the
You turn that
maximum
shit on
power
and like, you know, I
consumption
feel like
during
I'm
the
standing in front of a
entire console
goddamn
lifetime
microwave.
would be, which is to say, the worst case scene in the worst case game, and prepare.
This is just, I just can't even. I can't even. Guys,
If we get
I
it
heard
right,
things about what was going to be
fan
said
noise is
today at this
minimal.
presentation.
If we get it wrong, the console will be quite
Everything I
loud
heard
for
was
the
a
higher power
complete
games.
sham.
There's
This is
even a
not
chance that it
anything
might
that I heard was going to
overheat
happen
and
today.
shut down if we misestimate power.
Indie
too
Direct was
badly.
better than this shit.
PlayStation 5 is
Dude,
especially challenging
fucking-
because the CPU supports 256-bit native
The fucking
instructions
last,
that
you know,
consume
Smash
a
Brothers
lot of
review
power.
with Byleth
These are great
is probably
here
going to
and
be
there, but
more liked than
presumably
this.
only minimally used. Or are they? If we plan for major 256-bit instruction usage,
One being
we
yes,
need to
that's
set
Final
the
Fantasy
CPU
VII Remake,
clock
yep.
substantially lower,
But we all
or
kinda knew
noticeably
that. That
increase
should be
the
a given.
size of the power supply and fan.
That should have been
So
priority
after
number one
much
for these
discussion,
guys.
We decided to go with a very different direction on PlayStation 5.
Okay.
We built a GPU with 36 CUs. Mind you, RDNA 2
36
CUs
CUDA
are
cores?
large. Each has 62% more transistors than the CUs we were using on PlayStation 4. So if we compare transistor counts, 36 RDNA 2 CUs.
The worst part of this, we're
equates
all
to
going to end up
roughly
buying it anyways
58
because they're
PlayStation
eventually going
4
to announce some
CUs.
exclusive game.
It is a fairly
maybe.
sizable GPU. Then we went with a very.
I mean, I'll make my full
strategy
you know,
for
decision on
PlayStation
this.
5, which is to say, we continuously run the GPU and CPU.
Even though we're like
in
seeing all this
boost
stuff now, guys,
mode. We supply
coronavirus
a
is
generous
gonna
amount of
delay
electric
all this
power,
shit.
and then increase the
I'm
frequency
convinced.
of GPU and CPU
Especially
until they
Sony.
reach the capabilities of the system.
I feel like a lot of it's going to get delayed.
It's a
So people who
completely
have,
different
I think they're going to have to start
paradigm.
making
Rather
these
than running at
games
constant
compatible
frequency
for
and letting
PlayStation
power
4
vary
and for the
based on
5.
workload, we run at essentially constant power and let the frequency vary based on the workload.
Yeah, 7 at the very
We
least.
then
Yep.
tackled the engineering challenge of a
Yeah, we're like good on that. Like,
high-performance cooling solution.
Despite all the
designed
horse
for
shit,
that
we're good on that,
specific
right?
power
7's
level.
out the
In
door.
some
It's already
ways,
gone
it becomes a
gold. It's
simpler
already
problem
shipped.
because there
It's
are
going to
no
be
more
part of that
windows.
100,
There's
you know,
no need
playlist,
to
you know, for the
guess what
PlayStation
power
4 games on
consumption the
PS5.
worst
So we're
case
good.
game
We're good.
might
We're
have.
good.
As for the details of the cooling solution, we're saving them for our teardown. I think you'll be quite happy with what the engineering team came up with.
So are we hearing about that today?
So
we're not going to
how
hear about
fast can we run the GPU and CPU
hybrid
with
liquid
this
cooling that I've heard about.
The simplest approach would be
Where
to
it's got
look at
the
actual
liquid cooling
temperature
gel
of the silicon die and
tubes as
throttle the
opposed to
frequency
a
on that
radiator.
basis. But that won't work. It fails to create a consistent PlayStation 5 experience. It wouldn't do to
Raising
run
a lot
the
of red
console
flags here,
slower
Mark.
simply because it was in a hot room. So rather than look at the actual temperature of the silicon die, we look at the activities that the GPU and CPU are performing and set the frequencies on that basis, which makes everything deterministic and repeatable. While we're at it, we also
This
use
is-
AMD's smart switch technology and send any unused power from the CPU to the GPU so it can squeeze out a few more pixels. The benefits of this strategy are quite large. Running a GPU at 2 gigahertz was looking like an unreachable target with the old fixed frequency strategy.
Like, I'm fine if he wants to go
With
like
this
all
new
tech and stuff like
paradigm,
that, but
we're able to run
start your
way over
presentation
that. In
with
fact,
something
we
that's
have
really going
to
to draw
cap
people
the
in, not an
GPU
announcement
frequency
from
at
Jim Ryan
2.23
saying, "Oh yeah,
gigahertz,
you
so
know,
that
this
we can
is the
guarantee
canceled
that
part of
on-chip
the
logic
thing and
operates properly.
whatever." Like, what was that?
36 CUs at 2.23 gigahertz is 10.3
We had to wait
teraflops,
2 minutes for it.
and we expect the GPU
Whatever.
to spend most of its time at or close to
Ooh.
that frequency and performance. Similarly, running the CPU at
Doesn't
3
the
gigahertz
Xbox
is
have like a
causing headaches with
21
the
like
old strategy.
teraflops? Like,
But now we
wasn't
can
the
run it
Xbox
as high
X,
as 3.5
Series X?
gigahertz. In fact, it spends most of its time at that frequency.
what's the total teraflops?
That doesn't mean all games will be running at 2.23 gigahertz and 3.5 gigahertz. When that worst-case game arrives,
Call it a
it
PS6,
will
yeah,
run
probably.
at a lower clock speed, but not too much lower. To reduce power by 10%, it only takes a couple of percent reduction in frequency. So I'd expect any downclock.
So the Xbox X was
All
what?
things considered, the change to
13
a variable
teraflops?
frequency approach will show significant gains for PlayStation gamers. The final of our 3 principles was about finding new dreams. It's important for us on the hardware team to find new ways to expand or deepen gaming, and that's what led us to a focus on 3D audio.
Okay,
As
so
players,
12
we experience
teraflops for the
game through
Xbox Series
visuals,
X.
through audio, and through the feedback we receive from the controller, such as rumble or haptics.
Okay.
Personally, I feel a game is just dead without audio. Visuals are, of course, important, but the
So
impact of audio
is it true that we're
is
getting a
huge as
dedicated
well.
chip for?
At the same time, the audio team on a game project has to do a lot with a little. For example, on PlayStation 4, there's fierce competition for the Jaguar CPU cores. Audio typically ends up getting just a fraction of a core.
Okay, so they're going to have
That's
a
not
separate
much
chip.
of a computational resource, particularly when you consider that the visuals run at 30 or 60 frames a second.
We're gonna
but
get
audio processing needs to happen
A separate
at
chip
almost
for the
200
PlayStation
times
5.
a second.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be leading up to this.
It's been tough going making forward progress on audio with PlayStation 4.
Hey, what's up,
particularly
Genesis
when
Rebel?
PlayStation 3 was such a beast when it came to audio. The SPUs in Cell were almost a perfect device for audio rendering. Simple pipelined algorithms could really take advantage
PS3
of
audio is very
DNA,
good. They had to
and
make it good
frequently
because it had to be
100%
louder and better
utilization
quality,
of
so
the
you wouldn't,
floating point
you
unit.
couldn't overhear your
unfortunately
PS3's
nothing comparable.
fan going off. Sounded like a
Probably the
B-12
most
bomber
dramatic
taking
progress
off.
in the PlayStation 4 generation has been with virtual reality. The PSVR hardware has its own
I
audio
wish
unit.
these companies would
It
stop
supports about 50 pretty decent
with the
3D sound sources.
I'm not really a
And this
fan of
provided
VR
a
because I don't really
hint
think
as
it's
to
going to
where
go
we can
anywhere
go
for a
with
while.
audio, as well
Not unless
as
we
some
get something
value
else.
experience.
We find something else other than gold
Not
transistors.
to oversimplify, but here were our
Whoa.
goals for audio on
That
PlayStation.
quality rendering for the PlayStation
The first
5.
goal was great audio for everyone, not just VR users or
Big
soundbar
yikes.
owners or headphone users. That meant audio had to be part of the console. It couldn't be a peripheral. The second goal was to support hundreds of sound sources. We didn't want developers to have to pick and choose what sounds would get 3D effects and which wouldn't.
Can you just
We
tell
wanted
us whether or
every
not we're
sound
getting
in the game to
a
have
separate chip for
dimension.
audio or not? Can you just tell us
And
that?
finally, we wanted to really take on the challenges of presence and locality. Now, when we say presence, we mean the feeling that you're actually there. You've entered the matrix. It's not, of course, something we thought we could perfectly achieve, but the idea was that if we stopped using just a rain sound
Mark.
and instead used lots of 3D
I'm begging you,
audio
bro.
sources for raindrops hitting the ground,
Cut the
and
goddamn
all sorts of
shit.
locations around you, then at some point your brain would take a leap and you'd begin to have this feeling.
Genesis, no
This
worries, man. I
feeling
don't
of
chastise
real
anyone for
presence
being
inside
here
the
or not
virtual
being
world
here.
of the
I'm just
game.
glad you can make it, man.
This
All
has
right?
the capacity
Welcome.
to affect your appreciation of the game, just like music in a game does. The concept of locality is simpler. It's just your sense of where the audio is coming from. To the right of you, behind you.
You
above
missed
you.
exactly.
This
You
can
missed absolutely
immerse you
nothing.
further in the game, and it can also directly enhance the gameplay. To use Dead Space as an example, I know, old school, you're fighting enemies in fairly dark, spooky locations. Back in the day,
better
if
be
you
a
played
fucking
the
new Dead
game
Space
using the
game,
TV
Mark.
Speakers, you could tell that there was
gonna
one
snap
last
your
enemy
neck like a
growling
fucking
and hunting
pencil.
you down, but it was difficult to tell quite where that enemy was. With headphones, you could tell that the enemy was somewhere on the right, which lets you deduce, if you couldn't see, that it
Matrix.
must be somewhere
I still like the Matrix, the original one. The rest of the two ones are horrible.
3D audio with good
Original Matrix, I still
vocality,
think is
the
good
idea is,
because they didn't use
the enemy
CGI
is
too much.
precisely there.
Yeah,
And you turn
but the whole
and
Matrix
you
thing,
take
just
it
don't
out.
do that.
So, how do we know where a sound is coming from in the first place?
This is just,
Well,
this
all
is just
those
a cruel
bumps and
joke.
folds in the ear have a meaning, evolutionarily.
Craig is like,
Based
I'm
on
done.
the direction the sound is coming from, sound waves bounce around inside the ear. There's some constructive and destructive interference, and the result is a change.
People in the audience are just like, bye.
The phase of the sound
So long.
depends
Bye.
on what path the sound wave took to reach the ear.
See ya.
canal. These volume changes and phase shifts are different for each direction.
Oh, what's
and
that
also
sound? That's just the
vary
sound of the board of
depending on
directors
the
all
frequency
quickly
of the
leaving
sound.
to sell their
Head
shares
size
into the
and
company.
head shape also impact the sound in a similar fashion. The way that the sound changes based on direction and frequency can be encoded in a table called
Yeah,
the
heat
head-related
maps.
transfer
Heat
function,
maps. This
or
is what we really want to see,
HRT.
Mark.
Here's
So
part of it.
show some fucking heat
The
maps.
vertical axis is the frequency.
Fucking get in
The
there with them
horizontal
fucking
axis
heat
is
maps.
the direction
That'll
of the
show
sound
'em.
Right, and the color gives the degree of attenuation of the sound at that frequency. The HRTF is as unique to an individual as a fingerprint is. In fact,
I'm
you're looking at
fucking
mine.
dead.
Here's how we measure an HRTF. We've taken hundreds of people through this process. We put a microphone in the subject's left and right ear canals, and then sit the subject down in the middle of an array of 22 speakers. We then play an audio sweep from each speaker as we rotate the subject. In the course of 10 or 20 minutes, we're able to sample the HRTF at over 1,000 locations. Using an HRTF when rendering audio creates unparalleled quality, but it's computationally expensive. The simplest way to use an HRTF is to process a sound source to
Who
make it appear as
approved
if it's
this?
coming
Like,
from one
which
of those
presentation,
1,000
like, you know,
locations.
director was like, yep, sounds good. We'll just have him go up there and
Unfortunately,
literally
processing has
just
to be done in
like
frequency domain
read a
rather than
dictionary.
time domain. So there's multiple fast Fourier transforms needed for every sound source, for every audio tick. That's a lot.
What the hell is going on?
This computational complexity was the determining factor for our strategy. It meant we had
It was
to bite the
K2.
bullet and design
It was
and build
fucking,
a custom
yeah,
hardware
synthetic
unit for 3D
marijuana.
audio. Collectively, we're referring to the hardware unit and the proprietary algorithms we run on
I'm
it
convinced
as
that like he went
Tempest
rogue and just
3D
made this presentation because all the board of
The meaning
directors
of
had
3D
coronavirus.
audio and technology
They were
should be
so
pretty
sick they
obvious
couldn't
here.
read it.
As for Tempest,
They were just
I
like,
feel
yeah,
it really
whoa,
reflects
sounds
our
good.
goal with audio. It suggests a certain intensity of experience.
The rest of the
and
crowd's
also
just like-
hints at your presence with it. We're calling the hardware unit that we built the Tempest engine. It's based on AMD's GPU technology. We modified a compute unit in such a way as to make it very close to the SPUs in PlayStation 3.
AMD,
Remember when I said
GPU,
that they
yeah,
were ideal
all right.
for audio? So the Tempest engine has no caches, just like an SPU. All data access is via DMA, just like an SPU. Our target was that it would have more power than a CPU, thanks to the parallelism that a GPU can achieve, and that it would be more efficient than our GPU, thanks to the SPU-like architecture. The goal being to make possible near 100% utilization of the CU's vector units. Where we ended up is a unit with roughly the same SIMD power and bandwidth as all 8 Jaguar cores in the PlayStation 4 combined. If we were to use the same algorithms as PSVR, that's enough for something like 5,000 sound sources. But of course, we want to use more complex algorithms, and we don't need anything like that number of sounds. It would have been wonderful if a simpler strategy, such as using Dolby Atmos peripherals, could have achieved our goals, but we wanted 3D audio for all, not just those with licensed sound.
All a waste of time, money. Could have put this in an
Also, we
art.
wanted to
Dude,
make
it could have been a
hundreds of
10-minute
sound sources, not just
presentation.
the
Yeah,
32
exactly.
Atmos
Had an image
And
with all this
finally, we
information
wanted
out
to be able
there,
to throw
and then do
an
a Q&A.
overwhelming amount of processing power at the problem.
With, like, the
It
press.
wasn't clear what any peripheral might have inside of it. In fact, with the Tempest engine, we've even got enough power that we can allocate some to the games, to the extent that games want to make use of convolution reverb and other algorithms that are
Convolution.
either computationally
That's an
expensive
interesting
or
word.
need high bandwidth.
Convolution.
But the primary purpose of
Feeling a
the
little
Tempest
convoluted
engine
right
remains
now.
3D audio. Now, 3D audio is a major academic research topic. It's safe to say that no one in the world has all of the answers. And the set of algorithms that has to be invented, tuned, or implemented to realize our vision for 3D audio is immense. For example, use of HRTFs in games is quite complex. Before, I talked about making a sound source appear as if it's coming from one of those 1,000 HRTF sample locations. But for high-quality 3D game audio, we have to handle other possibilities. The sound source might not be at one of the 1,000.
What the hell is this?
So we have to blend the
What the
HRTF
hell is
data
going
from
on
the
even here?
locations that we have sampled. The sound source might be moving.
What?
Very special handling as that blend keeps changing, and that can cause phase artifacts in the resulting audio.
It's like, is this
Or
guy
the sound
talking
source
about
might have
quantum
size to
physics?
it, meaning it should feel as if it's coming from an area rather than a single point. There's also whole categories of approaches to be handled. 3D audio can be implemented using individual processing of 3D sound sources. But alternatively, ambisonics can be used for 3D audio. Ambisonics being somewhat like the spherical harmonics used in computer graphics. And finally, there's audio devices. The player might be using headphones or TV speakers or have a higher-end surround sound setup with 6 or more speakers, all of which need different approaches. That's a lot of variations. It's nice to have the computational resources of the Tempest engine, but it's clear that achieving our ultimate goals with 3D audio is going to be a multi-year, step-by-step process.
I'm just trying to think of anything to make this interesting. I know.
Is largely completed this
The memes will be good. The memes will be good.
For us to start. With headphones, we control exactly what each ear hears, and therefore the algorithmic development and implementation are more straightforward. For TV speakers and stereo speakers, we're in the process of implementing virtual surround sound. The idea being that if you're sitting in a sweet spot in front of the TV, then the sound can be made to feel as if it's coming from any direction, even behind you.
So 3D audio is going to be a priority. Thank you. See, that's all we needed to know.
On headphones, but it's more
That's all we needed to know.
The left ear can hear the right speaker and vice versa. We have a basic implementation of virtual surround sound up and running. We're now looking at increasing the size of that sweet spot, which is to say, making the area you need to be in to feel the 3D effect larger. And we're also working to boost the sense of locality. Headphone audio is the current gold standard for 3D audio on PlayStation 5, but we're going to see what we can do to bring virtual surround sound to a similar level, after which we'll start in on setups with more speakers, such as 6-channel surround sound. It's now to the point where some of the PlayStation 5 games in development are extensively using these systems. One of the game demos allows you to toggle between conventional PlayStation 4 style stereo audio and our new 3D audio. I listened with just an ordinary pair of over-the-ear headphones, and wow, I could feel a difference. 3D audio has that dimensional feel to it. Conventional stereo audio feels
I love how he's trying to describe 3D audio. Like we don't know what that is.
So, a big advancement, but have I entered the matrix? Does my brain believe I'm really there? Like I was talking about earlier when I explained our target of presence. Well, the answer is no, but you've probably caught on to what's missing here, namely whose HRTF was being used. It wasn't mine, it was the default HRTF. The audio team analyzed
the default HRTF.
And chose the one they felt was the closest fit to the total game playing audience. This shows a piece of the default HRTF on the left and my HRTF on the right. You can see that the general features are much the same, but the details are quite different. With the default HRTF, as I said, the 3D audio sounds pretty great. When I use my HRTF, though, the audio reaches a higher level of realism, which is to say that when using headphones and my HRTF, I occasionally get fooled and even think a sound is coming from the real world when it's actually coming from the game. A corollary to this is that there are a few people whose HRTFs are sufficiently far from the default HRTF, that's the red dot here, that they can toggle between PS4 style and PS5 style audio and not sense much difference. I've had a few people describe the PlayStation 5's 3D audio as sounding like a bit better stereo audio. Presumably they're the ones at the very edges of this diagram. Which means what HRTF you're using is key. I'd like everyone to be able to experience what I'm experiencing, but obviously it's not possible to measure the HRTF of every PlayStation user. That means HRTF selection and synthesis are going to be big topics going forward as the Tempest technology matures. At PlayStation 5 launch, we'll be offering a choice of 5 HRTFs. There's a simple test where you pick the one that gives you the best locality. That's just the first step, though. This is an open-ended research topic.
Ah, yes.
Maybe you'll be sending us a photo of your ear, and we'll choose a neural
Oh,
network to
photos
fit
of
the
ears. We're
closest
talking about
HRTF
ear
image.
photos. What is
Maybe you'll be
this?
sending us
What
a
is
video
it?
of your ears and your head, and we'll make a 3D model of them and synthesize the HRTF. Maybe you'll play an audio game to tune your HRTF. We'll be subtly changing it as you play and home in on the HRTF that gives you the highest score, meaning that it matches you the best. This is a journey we'll all be taking together over the next few years. Ultimately, we're committing to enabling everyone to experience that next level of realism. Hopefully, I've been able to illustrate a bit about our design and decision-making process today,
Nope.
and why PlayStation 5 has the feature set that it does. Now comes the fun part. We get to see how the development community takes advantage of that feature set. I'm hoping for the completely unexpected. Will it come from audio, ray tracing, the capabilities of the SSD, or something else? I guess we'll find out soon enough.
Okay.
Thank you for your time today.
Whoa. So, was that it? Whoa. Hey, it's Spawnwave. Wow. That was horrible. Wow. That was one of the worst things I've ever seen. We didn't even see the console. We didn't even see it. Like, what is even going on here? What is even going on? I'm absolutely dumbfounded. I cannot believe what I just saw. Oh, no, go back over here. This is, that was... I don't even know what to say. That was really disappointing. Very disappointing. See you guys next Thursday. Absolutely. Absolutely. That was bad. I have no words. But thank you for everyone who tuned in. I wish it was a better, underneath a better circumstance, or... That was horrendous. Yeah, I don't know. I have no other words. That was bad. PlayStation, they're not off to a good start. The PS5 is not off to a good start. I'm gonna go rewatch what I just watched and see if I can grab any information out of it, and I'll post anything I see that's valuable on Twitter, I guess. But otherwise, yeah, we'll be back here next time for the Nintendo Direct, which is apparently next week. I might end up doing a Resident Evil 3 stream or Doom stream, depending on whether or not I have time to get the demo. But just look on Twitter. I'll make sure that I tweet out when I go live and shit. And again, look forward to those giveaways, because we're going to be doing a couple of them definitely on the day of the remake. All right. Thank you again for y'all for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Having you guys here was hilarious as always. You guys having yourselves a great rest of your day. And I'll see you real soon. Buenas noches.
If you're feeling all you kind of could be your man up with
Santiago.
if your knees go and your teeth go. Maybe you bumped into
Santiago.
he flies through the night looking for a bite, but he's back home by daylight.
Santiago.
If you sort of or you're a little, it's certain you run into
Santiago.
if your heart goes or your mind goes. Man, you had a brush with.
Santiago.
So watch out for the beware of the and pray you'll never meet with
Santiago. Slayer Santiago.
What are you still doing here? Go watch one of these guys. Any one of these idiots over here, just go watch them. Just don't stand here and stare at a blank screen. Come on!